folks, welcome back to Planet Tyro. I'm your host, Don Wonder. So as you notice in the description, you know we're going to continue our discussion on Wakfu because to our surprise, there was a development right after we did the podcast originally. It got a very successful Kickstarter that me and Kimono Joe backed, and as a result, we got some prizes, some goodies, and you know, I did like an unboxing video where I showed some of the stuff. Now, sometimes unboxing videos can piss people off because it's like, oh, look at this shit I got, look at all my goodies. But you know what? This is a perfect example of when you're supporting a good cause through Kickstarter and they make, you know, good means to get stuff related to the series, the franchise. And we did. And you know, it was done in a timely fashion. So I do want to take the time out to show the people we actually got something good out of that. So first I'll roll the animation bumper, then I'll show the goodies, and then we'll get on with the podcast. Stay tuned.
Tyro Media.
So, what do we have here? A nice open box. Let's open up the box. We got the poster and the box that I'll get to later. And then we got the toy little figurine that I'll get to. Nice box looking. Look at the size. Looks really nice. It looks nice on the inside too, which I didn't do for some reason. But it's awesome. Moving on, we got the box sets. The Blu-ray box sets for Wakfu Season 1 and 2. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's flat pack. And I don't have a Blu-ray DVD player, but I'll have to buy one to watch this, which actually sucks. But that'll be then. So it looks really good. Good box, good stuff. I wish the box actually had a seal on it though, because it's kind of open, but we'll get to that some other time. Then we've got a soundtrack CD, or is this a game? It's in French as well, which is kind of weird, so I don't know, man. But yeah, that's a thing. Nice cover though. The t-shirt. No, we got a little card first. The card, which I'm holding upside down, but I'll flip it over. I don't know what that's for, a game code or something. I think it's a game code. And here is the shirt. I think that's Nox's label. I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. But it's nice. The poster, the Wakfu poster of all the characters, very beautiful, small. And that's pretty much it for the unboxing. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcasting section now for our part 2 on the Wakfu discussions. And of course, I had to bring back the main man, the man that got me into the show, the guy that was on the original podcast, my man Kimono Joe, Joseph Compton. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
Not a problem. You know, we just saw my little unboxing there because we were both supporters of the Kickstarter, which we'll get more into in a bit. And I don't think I had as much stuff as some of the other pledges. Even though I backed it physically, I think you got a better package than me. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. I went a couple of tiers higher. I think you were going with one of the more, like, basic ones, which was the $60 pledge, I believe, for the box.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they included the t-shirts in those pledge or not, but I'm pretty sure they did. I think my initial one was roughly, like, $90, because it included 2 art books for episodes 1 and 2. But then I put on an additional $20 for it, which they had a whole thing set up if you want more art books for other episodes. You just put on extra money and just let them know which ones you want. So I put down an extra, like, 20 for the Noxmillion episode art book.
Awesome. A true blue supporter. And ironically, guys, this whole video we're doing is basically a surprising turn of events. Because if you listen to our original Wakfu discussion, that one of the last things we were saying is that we were so disappointed about how the show didn't have an international release, how it was so hard to see, how there was no dub. And Joe, it was like they were listening to us. It was like they were listening to the podcast. Because 4 months later, the Kickstarter was announced. They announced the English dub, and they gave us exactly what we were asking for.
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy, and obviously because of that, we got another chance to, there was a bigger audience to get people into the show, and obviously we had one of the first podcasts on YouTube on it, so it was good for us. It was good for the franchise, and obviously just as a as a means to back the project. It was one of the better Kickstarter experiences I've actually had.
Oh yeah, same here. Like, I normally don't like. The Wakfu series was pretty much the only Kickstarter project that I ever put down as much money as I did, because most of the time I just go for like bare minimum, like $20 to $30 at the most. But this one, like being well over like $100, that was pretty high for me.
Yeah, yeah, and even me, because I love animation on the whole, guys. You know, we're celebrating International Animation Day month this month, and we put our money in so many things that Hollywood's got so much money, but like I said, I'm really trying to push behind animators doing something different, doing something creative out of the realm of America and Japan. So I really felt like I really had to just put my money where my mouth is and support the show. Now, although I don't think it's the greatest show on earth, I was just happy to support it in general. And for those of you who don't know, the Wakfu Kickstarter started January 20th, 2014 to February 19th, 2014. It had close to 6,000 backers. It rose about 483,000 Canadian dollars, which translates into about 365,000 US dollars, which ended up, as I said, making an English dub release. It led to Netflix they were able to put it on Netflix for worldwide distribution as well. Also, there were Blu-rays, a lot of prizes. We'll put a link in the Kickstarter if you want to see the details. And even though I'm actually not sure if you can buy the releases now though separately for on Amazon or something, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that might have been one of those things that they were only doing like a Kickstarter for a print run, because I mean that's what a lot of like DVD releases on Kickstarter do nowadays. Is they don't want to risk printing out nearly 1,000 units and only like 400 of them selling.
Yeah. At the end of the day, Joe, I'm a digital man. Being on Netflix, good enough for me. To be honest with you, like I mentioned in that video, I was pissed off because I had to buy a Blu-ray player just for this show, which kind of pissed me off. I kind of wish I had a Blu-ray DVD combo, but I'm not complaining. Let me not be an arsehole. It came out on Blu-ray, fine, and I watched it eventually, so that's fine. So, and lastly, I want to say, we got to share our original podcast on the Kickstarter. They have a Kickstarter forum where people talking. We got to share it on there. We had a lot of good feedback from people on YouTube and on the Kickstarter page. Even, I don't know if you noticed, Joe, one or two of the staff listened to the podcast. They were very receptive, very supportive. So it's so awesome to hear back from the creators when I do any review, any discussion, and we tweet out to them directly and they give us back feedback, positive or negative. I'm telling you, Joe, that's one of the best reasons I love doing YouTube videos, especially reviews of people's shows and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, guys, that's all the introductory stuff out of the way, because the reason why we're doing this video was not just to talk about the Kickstarter. When we did the original video, we only covered the first season for the most part, because the second season was extremely hard to get. Again, there was no dub for it, and I hadn't seen it. Now, Joe, you did give us a little blurb about it a little bit, but now that we've got the dubs, now that we've got the whole season 2, now that we've got extras as well, we're going to finish this off by speaking about all of that in one go. So, and now I've seen season 2, I can give you my thoughts on it as well. So how we're going to start this off is, let's go back to season 1 this time, yeah? And we're going to talk about the English dub and the cast, first of all. I want to say, I think the cast was very appropriate, but I never rewatched season 1. I just wanted to move on to watch season 2. But you did, Joe, so I'm going to let you go first, and I want you to talk about, because you watched season 1 with the English dub, and then after that we'll talk about both of our experiences with the rest of this. So, how was it for you going with season 1 and the English dub?
Well, in regards to the voice actors for the English dub, though, I feel like they were all very competent, and, like, they did well, but there was that problem of, like, trying to disassociate myself from the French audio. Particularly because, like, the French actors, they brought so much to those characters that I now associate with them more. Yeah. That the English cast, some of them just couldn't quite hit those same feelings. Like, the most prominent example was for the villain Nox. Yeah. In that the French audio, he had very much this Mark Hamill, Joker-esque way of laughing and talking to a degree. Yeah. And plus, it just he felt like it just felt like this eerie sense to it because he would always be completely motionless, but yet he would go into these like cackling, laughing fits.
You know what? Now I wish I listened to it because that's a great point. I never got to hear Nox's English dub except for the OVA, which we'll get to later. So, wow, man, I'm disappointed to hear that. But let's be honest, Joe. As an anime fan as well, this is a common kind of thing for even an anime. Most anime fans say the same thing about English and Japanese dub. So we're kind of used to being a little bit disappointed with the translation of a English cast taking over the reins of these characters, aren't we?
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things, like if I had no association with the French audio, I probably would be perfectly fine with it.
I was just about to ask you that as well, yeah.
However, though, there was one thing that was, like, kind of a big mess step, and I think whenever they were doing the audio for the English dub, they might have had some mix-ups or something going on with the sound editing, because there was a lot of points where sound effects just completely dropped out and there was like no sound on the screen for it. Like you could still hear the music in the background and the characters talking, but just little things that you don't really pay attention to whenever they're there, but when they're missing, you kind of notice them quite a bit. Like the sound of someone throwing a coin and it bouncing across the ground, like just that little clinking sound. When that's gone, it just feels awkward and voided after.
You know what, Joe? Not only would I second you on that, but that was a massive mishap. I thought that was horrible because it was noticeable. It was so. Yeah. In fact, this is kind of a cautionary tale because I was watching this show and I can say this for season 2 as well because it was the same issue in season 2 when you're watching the voice actors, the English dub over the Japanese audio. It's so unsynced. It's not only unsynced, like you said, but some of the sound effects are completely gone. And let me tell you something, people, it completely takes you out of it. Like I was watching one of the best action scenes, and like someone will throw a punch, you wouldn't even hear the punch connect. Or there'll be an explosion, and you wouldn't hear it. It's like, wow, man, this feels like, it really feels like a fan dub. And I'm telling you guys, I don't mean to be harsh on it, but it is so noticeable. It's in England what we call a cock-up. Like someone, honestly, I don't know how they didn't see this in post and fire someone over this, because honestly, it is really bad. And from the perspective of someone, and this is why I wouldn't be so critical on it, from the perspective of someone who's seen the original, yeah, where it all fit and it just was like a normal show, this felt amateur. And if someone's watching the English dub and they see this, they're going to think, well, that's really off. You know, so that's not how it's meant to be. That you don't have that problem with the with the French original language version. So, Joe, I have to second what you said, and I'm sorry to be harsh, but you noticed it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Although I do wonder if that might have been just a Blu-ray thing, because I never checked it out on Netflix, and I'm curious if it's the same situation there.
You know what? Yeah, I was curious on that as well, and I was curious if I watched the French language, if it would be the same. But when I switched to audio, it was fine. The original track was fine, so it really does seem like it was a dubbing mix mess. I won't go too much more into that, but you noticed it, I noticed it, and honestly, it was a very big letdown. And if you're a first-time watcher, you might not notice because you haven't watched the original, but I think the sound, I'll just say the sound is off. The sound mix is off on that end.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I hate to just make it sound like I just want to say go listen to the French audio and completely disrespect the English voice cast for all the hard work they put into it, but without those little sound effects, it's kind of now your go-to is to just go with the French audio.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to have to say that too. If you must English, and getting back to the voice actors, like you said, I felt they were competent, but like you said, I don't, just like you, and speaking about season 2 as well, I don't think they miss a little bit of essence, but because I'm an anime fan, it's happened so much times to anime English dubs, I'm used to it, so I don't want to retract what I just said, but if you're an anime fan, you kind of know what to expect. And honestly, I was not expecting super duper quality anyway, so I was actually kind of like, you know what, this is okay for what they did. So I actually was happy with it on the whole. I was satisfied, I would say.
Yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been a 4Kids dub.
Oh, there you go, exactly. And I'm glad that I'm just glad that never happened. But so moving on. So I guess that's all, guys. If you want to hear us on season 1 again, there's no point of us rehashing season 1. Apart from that, That's the only update we need to give on season 1, because now we have to move on to season 2 and the other things, because now I can come into it. I watched season 2 in dub, and now let's get on with season 2. Now, Joe, on the original podcast, you kind of let it known that season 2 was a bit disappointing. That was your original thoughts on it. And so I came in thinking to myself, okay, I'm not expecting season 1, but it seemed continuous. Like the story, the way season 1 ended on a very epic battle with a bit of a bit of darkness, something even very bad happened to one of the characters. So I knew it would at least continue from that pace on. So while watching season 2, and I was just aware that I shouldn't be expecting the same caliber, you know, I have to say straight out of the box, man, I was very, very disappointed with season 2. And I'll get into details in a minute, but the main reason I will say is because this is one of those cases where they went down more of the episodic route than the story-driven route they went in the first season. And there is a story in the second season as well, which I'll ask you about, Joe, to elaborate on. But 80% of it. I've even got the number where they went back to what they were meant to be doing. 80% of season 2 was episodic. And episodic is fine, it's fun and whatever, but man, it really disappointed me. Especially when you see it's again one of those things, seeing the potential in season 1, the great story with Nox and all that stuff, coming to this, where even the story itself, well, you know what? Why don't you? Because I had my little say. Why don't you tell us what season 2 was about, and then tell us how you thought about it, and then we'll go back and forth.
Alright, so basically the story picks up like maybe a couple of months after the events of the season 1, at which case the Sedita Kingdom, they're still housing all the remaining heroes, and they're trying to figure out what to do with both the Elia Cube that Nox had used to claim so much power, as well as the Dofus egg that Google Orgram, the dragon from the first season, like after he died, had reverted back to.
Yeah.
So the story's just picking up from there of them trying to figure out what to do when they unintentionally unlock the Elia Cube and an unexpected visitor comes out of it. Trying not to spoil too much for you folks who haven't seen it yet, though, but it introduces a guy named Quilby, who's another Heliotrope like Yugo, who then like explains their history and their past, and ostensibly tells Yugo to like sets him off on a path to go retrieve his Dofus egg, which is housing this body of his dragon sister. And which point they start revealing later on like more about the world and what they plan as Heliotropes to do, because they still apparently have thousands of people that are missing from their homeworld.
Yeah. In the sum up, because you gave the detailed version, the short version, I'll give what you just said. They just go more into Yugo's past, where he comes from, his family. That's basically what the second season is about, finding out more about Yugo, his mysterious past, as you said, his ancestors, and that's simple enough. So,
yes.
But again, in contrast with the first season, where you've got a very compelling villain, very kind of world gravity, chaotic things going on that's going to have everyone in peril. This season is just like you said, Yugo finding about his origin, and he goes on the quest. And the whole show is, while he's meant to be going on this quest, nearly 20 episodes are just misadventures in between. That literally, they're going to find something to the point, even in episode 16, I even made a note of this, because I was watching like, when are they going to get back to the story of Yugo finding out about his people? Even there was a point where, I think it's Alia, the arrow chick, she even scolded Yugo for, we need to get back on the mission, we need to stop helping people, we got a mission, we're gonna, stick to it. And it's like, wow, man, I was upset with the show, but it's actually self-aware that they've been messing around for too long. But even at the end of that episode, they're like, oh no, you know what? It's actually better that we have these distractions and these asides, and we're meant to be helping people as long as our journey. And I was like, oh, that's a kick in the teeth. You just acknowledge that you've been fucking around, and now you're telling me that no, we gotta. So long story short, people, and I'm cutting this very short because I need to get into my quibbles, because there's some positive things as well. But I want to say, man, up to episode 20, they just went on episodic adventures, misadventures, all fun, all animated well, But in terms of story-driven narrative that they had like in season 1, it's not there. The villain, look, man, no spoilers, but it's completely obvious who it is. The way that even comes about is so contrived. It just, it's coming anyway, but they leave it so late in the game that when it does turn around like that, it's like, I wish you just didn't bother. Because by episode 21, when that person reveals himself, I was like, I was just waiting for that to happen. And then the action that I got, like, Wakfu has some of the best, because I was so annoyed that they're just doing so many playful things with the animation. And I was thinking, you know what, man, I'm so disappointed with this series. This second season really upset me. But then, around episode 20, I'm not going to get into too many detail, but Yugo's brother has a confrontation with the villain, and they have a wicked action scene where I was like, you know what, now I'm really pissed off, because this is exactly this is what I was expecting. This is what you showed me in season 1. So you guys, you had that potential, but you hid it, and now only in episode 20, you're getting it started, and then from episode 20 onwards, the other region got involved. There was a massive battle, and everything I wanted in this series came in the last 5 episodes. And to be honest with you, even saying that is being too generous, because most of that had to do with the battle side. But in terms of the story side, they crammed that in the last 5 crams in the story, the action, and the first 19 episodes are just episodic misadventures.
Now, I would have a counter argument for that, though, because there is, like, going back and rewatching it, I would say episodes 1 through 4 is one story itself, and you can't really count that as, like, episodic, which we can't get into discussions for because that does contain a lot of spoilers.
Yeah, I agree.
The few episodes after that just kind of set up the world, but it is, like, from episode 10 through 16 are completely episodic, and you really don't need to watch them at all. Then episodes 21 and 22 are the same. You could just cut those out and the story would be fine.
You're being generous, because honestly, after coming from season 1, I agree with you, the first 4 episodes are like a continuation season. They're kind of tying up, showing you what's the aftermath of season 1. That's where I'm coming from, the first 4. Everything after that, from the point where Hugo says, I'm starting my journey, for me, from that point to that episode 18 is irrelevant. It's everything in between that is very misadventure, and honestly, I don't want to go and bitch and moan about it, because let me tell you something. If you listen to our first podcast, season 1, I made the same complaints. I complained that half the season 1 was basically just set up, and the last half was really great. This season, they made the same mistake, but even more so. But when you look at it from a perspective of demographic, this show is kind of tailored towards kids. So I understand what they're doing. Yeah, this is more tailored towards a younger audience anyway. So, and they had a lot of fun. Let me get to the positives now. They had a lot of fun with the animation. A lot of the episodic themes, they had basically episodes that focused on so many different things. They had a computer game episode, then another sports game episodes. It's like the animators were having fun creating this world and creating all these little games and stuff. And that's fine. And the thing with me is, as a grown-ass man and as a very critical person who loves storytelling, I just wanted a story-driven narrative. And this season was lacking it more than the first. And on top of that, even the story itself, when they got to it, it was decent. And I was like, you know what? You didn't give it enough time. If you focused on this for the whole 20 episodes, it probably still wouldn't have been good as a Nox thing. I'm not going to lie. Probably still wouldn't have been, but I would have been a lot more satisfied. But for me, this second season was more of like, let's play more to the demographic of the younger audience. Let's have a lot of fun with the animation, and the story is kind of secondary, and that really disappointed me, to be honest.
Yeah, like honestly, how I feel, like, because going back and rewatching it, it's not as bad since I knew, like, going in, like, what to expect. But I would say this was a season that really could have been trimmed a lot, like, because just like the first season, it has 26 episodes, but really, I think it probably just needed, like, 18 episodes total to get the complete story, which, again, like, there's 9 episodes you could just easily cut out from that.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all looking about in retrospect. The second season, the first, are pretty old now, and I heard there were rumors that they are working on the third, possibly as well. At the end of the day, I still think this is an okay show on a whole. There was a lot of feedback. I don't know if you noticed, Joe. There was a lot of feedback on our comments that we kind of upscaled the series. I thought to myself, did I over-promote it? Was I being too generous? But I listened to the podcast, and I thought we were being very fair, very critical. And the thing is, when this show is good, this show's great. Like, great is very, very... That's overblown a little bit. It's very, very, very good. And they show the potential for greatness. That's what I will say. Because that first story with Nox and the storyline was kind of Avatar level. You said that the first time, and I agree. And when they do the action with the flash animation, even in the second season, when, like I said, Yugo, oh my god, actually, that's another criticism, man. They sideline Yugo's brother, and he's one of my favourite characters in Wakfu.
Oh yeah.
They cut him out of the second season altogether. That is really, and he's one of the most creative, considering what his powers are, he is such a creative person, and even the character's like, you cut me out of the adventure, even he's like, you cut me out of the adventure, and I'm like, yeah, you did! But when he comes in at the end, again, one of my favourite actions is I thought, man, you guys, how could you not use this guy? Why was this guy not on the adventure with Yugo?
Oh yeah.
Why did they make... that's one thing, it makes no sense to me, because honestly, in some ways, the second season is kind of a repeat of the first. They go on the same adventure. But I have to give... Let me get all my... I know I'm being very harsh, guys, but I have to be fair. I'm as critical as on anything. You know that, guys. So, my other quibbles are, I already can't stand Daddy. And in this... spoiler, he comes back. I'm not going to say how, but Daddy comes back.
So well keeping that under wraps.
You know, if you've come this far, I'm sorry, I have to mention it. And to be honest with you, he's actually on some of the promotional art anyway. So it's kind of, but, you know, forgive me, people, but if you've come this far... Alright, do you want me to cut that out, Joe? Do you want me to... If you want me to cut that out, I can cut it out if I want to.
Nah, I think we can probably just keep that in, though, because, I mean, that is, like, the first 4 episodes about him coming back, too, so... Okay, they're gonna know it right off the bat anyway.
See, people, I'm keeping this in the podcast because, man, I don't like his character in this season. I still don't like his character at all. He actually, if you guys saw my Avatar review, I remember I said I can't stand bowling. This guy's on bowling level annoying to me, and I don't even understand why his love interest likes him at this point, because he's just such a buffoon. And the respect I got for him in the first season, in this season, is completely gone, to the point where near the end they even do some love triangle bullshit that I just, that, no man, don't do that. And that,
yeah.
And as a, you know, as that wouldn't bother me as much if, as a side effect, they make his love interest as a character more tame. Like, she in the first season, she's much more spunky, but since these two are more or less a couple in this season, her character is very much more tame. She doesn't not as snappy anymore, and I just thought, wow, man, that's. Yeah, the dynamics of the team, I kind of wish they changed it up, to be honest with you. Because the other girl was fine, Yugo's fine, the old man's fine, but those two, there's a couple now, for me, it just did not work at all. It was very just silly.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Am I just being the arsehole?
Nah, because that was one of those things, like, because when they do introduce, like, again, folks, sorry, this is kind of getting into a little bit more of the spoilery territory, though. But they introduce Evangeline's sister in the series, but it just feels like she wasn't really there. Like, she wasn't needed all that much, because all it was just to make a little bit of a
tension.
Yeah, because basically she's the more fun version of Evangeline, because she's the one that doesn't care about everything being, like, orderly, or, like, she likes fighting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Daddy was just treating her more like, oh, yes, yours is mine, just completely ignoring. He was really annoying me, and I don't understand why she was being so forgiving. I understand what he did that made him a hero at the end, but
yeah, I'm
like, man, you really are kind of rewriting yourself at this point by being such an asshole. And honestly...
Well, but it wasn't just him as well, because, I mean, Yugo and Ruel were also like, yeah, Cleo's pretty awesome by comparison to Evangeline.
The only reason I'll give them a blind is that they don't have boyfriend, though, are they?
True, but it was one of those things, though, like, it just seemed like everyone, well, like, all the guys were turning against just went there. Which, that was just where it was like, come on, do we really need this thing going on?
Yeah, and so honestly, on the whole, let me wrap this up. I don't want to bitch and moan again. Is season 2 as good as season 1 for me? No. Is it absolutely terrible? No. But I will say I was massively disappointed, and I just feel like they kind of went down the route of, let's make it episodic for the kids and the story-driven narrative. Let's just get to that at the end, and it just feels very disjointed. It doesn't feel like it flows at all. It feels like it's like you kind of walk in the door and you get teleported to the other side without, walking. It just feels like you kind of jumped all the way over, and it's a tonal shift as well. And when the last battle was so monumental and it's so serious, it's like, you were dancing around for 16 episodes and now you're getting super serious. It's like, well,
I would say though, it's still like, if you like the first season, there is still stuff worth watching. I would probably again say, like, there's some episodes you can just skip over and you wouldn't miss a thing. In fact, maybe just in the notes section, we'll just put like kind of a cut list or whatever, like whatever those episode guides are, where it's just like, watch these episodes, skip these, watch these.
I've done it before and I'll do it again. And I'll tell you this, the reason why I'm being so critical is because I'm gonna acknowledge you guys. I got so many emails. I don't think I told you this, show, that people were like, man, that show was shit, man.
Really?
The Wakfu wasn't that good. You guys upscaled it. And I'm like, no, we said the positives and we said the negatives, and you take it, and a lot of them are super anime fans, let's be honest, because we had a lot of anime fans on this the podcast, and a lot of them are like, that wasn't as good as anime, and I'm like, anime can be just as, they're all the same to me. Like, I like to class animation on the whole, because anime, like we said this even off mic, animation on the whole, is the bar is rising in all regions.
Oh yeah.
Which is why I'm promoting anime of all regions. I'm not just focused on anime anymore, because I feel like everyone needs a chance. We don't need to bitch so much about anime being this, that, and the other. Why don't we look at other regions and give them a chance and help them become better?
Oh yeah.
Which is why I'm talking about Wakfu. This is why I'm bitching about it. Not because I don't like it. I want them to be better. I want them to do a third season to address my concerns. I gave them the Kickstarter money. I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't supportive. So, constructive criticism this is, guys. If you're listening to it and you're a diehard fan, you think, oh, you son of a bitch. I will say I'm a very critical person in terms of a storytelling guy, fair enough, but I want things to be as best as they can be, and I'll let me praise the show. Wakfu has some of the best flash animation, if not the best flash animation I've seen. When it's kicking ass, it looks fantastically great. It's not even that I want them to focus more on that. I just want the story to be there. I care about story more than animation. Always have. And let me tell you something, if you get the story right, with half decent animation, you've already got a classic. Period. I'm telling you, you don't even have to have the best animation. If your story is good, and the Noxaminian story was absolutely fantastic, this season just kind of let me down a bit. But overall, Wakfu as an animated series is a good project. I still think there are plenty of places they can go, because where season 2 ended, it was like, okay, the status quo has kind of gone back to zero now. But they can bring up a whole... It's a franchise in my mind. They can bring up a whole new enemy. It's a world. They can do a lot of stuff with it. So, I'm hopeful. If people are coming for it, like the fans, we might see something else. But it depends on what you guys think, So, that's my full show. I'll let you wrap up as well.
Well, like I was saying, though, I don't think it's necessarily a bad Season 2. There's just a lot of fat to be trimmed. Because, kind of looking back on what I loved about Season 1 was just kind of there was a slow build-up. Like, episodes, 1 to 13 was all just the episodic, very slow-moving build-up. And, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that you could easily cut to. But then that's when it reaches all the stuff that I absolutely love, from going on from the 15 onwards. Whereas this season, it just kind of seemed like it had the reverse, because I thought it still had a pretty good opening, really, really dragged down in the middle and a little bit near towards the end, and then it started to pick up. But I am curious to see what they're going to do in the future, because, Wakfu is still a fairly prominent franchise, from what I understand, in France. They already have a spin-off series called Dofus that's supposed to be set like years before, and they're even now like kind of tying into the Wakfu series as well. But we might get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, sure. I don't have a problem revisiting this franchise at all. Don't get me, this did not put me off the franchise at all. Again, just with lack of anime or any other series, you have your ups, you have your downs, so I don't count this as being any special in that regard. Again, that's just how I feel about it. But moving forward, Joe, we did get some other bits and pieces like OVAs and features that you saw as well. I saw the OVAs. I thought they were just okay, so I don't have a lot to say about them. But what do you think of them?
I personally like them quite a lot, like at least compared to OVA Season 2, because the OVAs are just 3 individual episodes that are each 45 minutes long, so it's kind of an extended episode, you could say.
Yep.
But all 3 of them connect together to just be ostensibly like a pseudo Season 3. And to me, there was a lot about it that I liked quite a bit, because it was changing up things quite a bit more than what there was from Season 2 and all.
True.
The only thing, though, that I feel like was kind of the only thing that did it a disservice is that you kind of have to know a bit more about the world of Wakfu.
Yeah.
Because there were characters from the series I just mentioned moments ago, Dofus, that feature prominently in this series, and I haven't watched Dofus yet.
Yeah.
So I was kind of lost a little bit on who they were and what their connections were to things, like outside of just the bare minimum of knowing like, oh, that's that character from this series, so there's probably a reason for it. Or also, there is a comic book, or there's a series of comic books in the French language for Dofus and Wakfu, and one of them also explains the origin of the big villain of the OVAs, which was one of those things, like, kind of would have been nice to have seen that in some form or fashion to kind of understand him a little bit more and all that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, I don't have much more to say because I was kind of burnt out after that second season, and I was like, this is better, but you know, I was so brokenhearted. But I agree. But you know what? I want to say the most positive thing about this whole experience was for me. This was, like I said, one of the most well-handled Kickstarter projects I've seen. The prizes came out in a timely manner. They had videos. They were so in touch with the people. And there's so many horror stories about Kickstarter. I don't mean to change the subject, but I felt like, wow, man, as soon as it was over, within months, it was all sorted, all delivered. And when I went on the internet, I saw everyone got their packages on time. And Netflix, everything they said they were going to do, they did in a timely manner. And honestly, as a business, I respect that more than anything. If I have problems with the content, that's different than having problems with you know, promising something and not delivering. Because so many times with these Kickstarter projects, it happens. And again, this was such a fan favorite, you know, love project that came to people kind of call to arms for this, and it came through, and it just went so smoothly. And man, it just, you know, it was. I think this is one of those campaigns that proposed fan funding in a good way. It was like, yeah, we can do this if you love something, and you want to put your money behind it. It goes in the right place. Trustworthy guys that produce it will give you what they said they're going to produce. They keep their promises. This was one of those cases, and I actually hope from the Netflix and from more awareness, and hope from our honest and fair podcast discussion about it, you will make an informed decision to check it out. And you know, we're happy for you to leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think as well. Overly harsh, overly critical, whatever you think, guys. We're trying to be fair, we're trying to be honest, but I don't regret. And I would do it again. Yes, I would still, even if we can go back in time on a new head, I would still give them money, because honestly, the good I got out of it, I'm gonna criticize anime now. This is still better than a lot of anime shows we've seen in recent years.
Alright.
So let's leave it at that, Joe. Do you have anything further to say before we wrap things up?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. I just hope that a lot of people don't think I'm upselling something and all that.
No. I don't think so, Joe. I know I'm always going to be the more negative one, so I hope I didn't talk over you too much. I hope I gave you a chance to voice all your opinions on that. But this isn't going to be the last time I have a podcast with you anyway, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Because what we're doing right now, people, if you don't know, we're celebrating International Animation. And ironically, Wakfu was the very first time we actually spoke about something out of the realm of anime on our podcast. And if you're checking on our channel right now, you're seeing I'm doing a lot of reviews and discussions with other people. trying to bring awareness to other regions because we want to see perspectives, different creative things from all over the world. There's so many animators out there that are not being, well, they're not given the exposure they deserve. And honestly, if we want animation to grow as a narrative form of expression, we need to share the light equally. And if you missed that first podcast, me and Joe spoke about animation awareness back in 2013.
Oh yeah,
we hit a lot on that. And next year we'll have Joe. Me and Joe are going to do another podcast because we're gonna sit back this year, look at the world, and we're going to have another podcast speaking about animation awareness. We'll see if this project I've come up with has hit some people, because I've still got some videos to show, and I actually want some animation people to share our... Well, you know what, guys? Just wait and see. Wait and see. If you've listened so far, you don't know what I'm talking about. Hit an annotation on the screen right now, and you'll get all the information that way. I'm not going to select you again. You already know the deal. But I do want to say, Joe, really appreciate you coming back on to do this part 2 with us.
Thank you for having me on again.
Not a problem. You are a well-versed guy. And also, Joe is an aspiring artist himself. He's got a Tumblr. He's got a page where he's doing a lot of animation or artwork. I'll put a link in the description because, you know, he's an aspiring artist. And one day, if he makes it big, we want him to know that we found him first.
Alright.
So check out the link for Joe down below as well. Check out our links to all the Kickstarter stuff, everything we've discussed. You'll find plenty of links in the description. And guys, if you like the discussion, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content on our YouTube feed. Thanks for watching, guys, and until then, we'll see you on the next one. See you later.
Take care, folks.